Happy Saturday. I'm a little early for the sunrise this morning. I went to bed early last night. Tired after a long weekend, or a long week. See? Anyway, woke up bright and early, ready and refreshed. Gonna take on the world. There is drama to talk about, but I'm gonna save the drama till the end. Not because I don't need clicks and views, but because if I bury it, it seems like people watch about 4 minutes of my videos on average before they click off. And that's awesome. My big dog just clotheslined my little dog because he wanted to walk in front of her to sniff something. Oh, come on, dude. Anyway. All right, so let's start off with press passes. There seems like there's a lot of confusion about press passes. Press passes aren't official government documents. They are issued by companies. They're issued by government. Well, I guess it could be government issued press passes. And we're wrapped up. Awesome. So if you get a press pass, that means that you have been vetted by whatever company or agency or governmental organization that you are getting the press pass from. So, for example, if you get a press pass from the Chicago Police Department, that means that the Chicago Police Department has looked into your background and they know who you are, and they know, or they have reason to believe that they can trust you. That's all it means. They can trust you. They've checked it out. You're legit in whatever way they need you to be legit. And so they're going to give you more access than they would give to just any other member of the public. Or they may give you more access than they would give to any other member of the public because they know who you are and they know what you're about and they know what you're doing and your purposes. Okay, he's going to war garble a little bit because he's gotta. If you're getting it from an agency, then your press pass is only going to be as good as the agency you're getting your press pass from. So if you get a press pass from MSNBC or CNN or Fox or ABC or CBS, whoever, your press pass is going to be an indication that you are employed by them, which means that you have been vetted in some way by them through the employment process, through your time of working there, through them trusting you enough to send you out on assignment to gather information. The reason why PINAC press passes are meaningless is because PINAC doesn't do any vetting. And I don't think that the police are going to trust PINAC in the first place. Remember, the press pass is only an indication that the police should be able to trust you. That's it. It's only one piece of the puzzle. It's not a get out of jail free card. It's just one indicator the police can use to determine whether or not to trust you. And I don't think the police are going to trust PINAC because PINAC has an anti-police bias. And the police are probably going to be hesitant to just allow someone with a blatant anti-police bias into sensitive areas. So, but even if PINAC didn't have an anti-police bias, then there's still the issue that they're giving out press passes to anyone who wants it. There is no vetting process. There's no indicia that these people who are getting these press passes should be trusted. So waving around a PINAC press pass is basically saying to the police, I have a press pass from a media company that has a blatant bias against you and is no indication that I am or should be trusted, am trustworthy or should be trusted. You're essentially holding up a red flag to the police officer saying, hey, I'm bad news and I'm not smart enough to realize it. Whereas if you hold up an NBC press pass or an Associated Press pass or a Reuters press pass, the police are going to say, hey, this person has been vetted by a company that has its name and reputation on the line, and these people are going to be much more likely to be trustworthy, to be less biased. So I hope that explains press passes. Press passes aren't based in the Constitution. If a government agency gives you a press pass, they can't revoke it without due process. At least that's my understanding of the procedural due process property rights, or procedural due process rights for property in the Constitution. I don't believe they'd be able to take it from you without some sort of a hearing. It may just be an administrative hearing, but you'd have the right to a hearing. But that's, there you go. There's no real constitutional basis for press passes. Okay, so we have resolved that. I was also asked about stop and ID states versus non-stop and ID. And that's a bit of a kettle of worms, because every state that has stop and ID statutes has a slightly different stop and ID statute, and they have different case laws on those different stop and ID statutes. So just in general, a stop and ID state is a state that has a statute that says if the officer has reason to believe you are committing a crime or have committed a crime or are about to commit a crime in some wording, so check the statute, then the officer can ask for some form of ID. Again, check the statute. A lot of statutes just say, they could ask your name and date of birth, or your name, date of birth, and residence, or maybe they could ask for an actual ID, like a state ID or a driver's license. Now, also remember, this only applies in situations where you're not driving. If you're driving, I don't know of a vehicle code out there that does not allow officers to ID you if they stop you. And again, if they stop you, they have to have reasonable suspicion or probable cause, unless it's one of the suspicionless checkpoints, like a DUI checkpoint. And yes, they can ask you for your ID at a DUI checkpoint. And yes, that is, in my opinion, unreasonable, and I despise and loathe DUI checkpoints. But, oh, you're going to get pocket time, because little girl's pooping. She's pooping. You can't see her because she's a little black dog. That's not racist. She's just... Anyway, so, stop and ID statutes. She's done pooping. All right, pocket time. Oh, baby, you made little earls on the lawn. Oh, little baby earls. Little baby earls. And we're going to go back this way, because somebody left their trash can on the street. All right. All right, so we're good. We're still going. Nice. All right. So I think we're right side up, although it doesn't matter because it's black out there. All right. So in all of the stop and ID states, the officer still has to have reasonable suspicion to stop you at a minimum. Does the officer have to tell you what his reasonable suspicion is? Nope. Nope, does not. Does the officer have to prove to you that he has reasonable suspicion? Nope, does not. But so it's one of those things where it's almost not worth challenging it. What can you suppress based on the officer asking you for your ID or for your name and date of birth? What can you suppress? Because you got to remember that if the officer does an unlawful search, you can suppress information gathered from an unlawful search. But him asking you for ID, if you give it, that's not something that they can suppress. They can't suppress your name. And if your name turns up warrants, I don't think you'd be able to suppress those. You'd be able to get out of jail or get out of being arrested for those warrants. Those warrants wouldn't go away. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's necessarily worth fighting. This is the stop and ID thing, I think, is one area where this community is a little off base. You want to use it to defend yourself from having to give your name. And I don't think it's particularly going to go too well for you unless and until the officer demands your name. Like the kid in Colorado. There's a kid in Colorado, I'm going to say a year ago. He was filming, I think, a police station. A couple Colorado police officers stopped him. They were very, very stern with him. They demanded his ID. They put him in the back of a cop car. Basically, he was gonna get arrested if he did not give them his ID. So he gave him his ID. They ran it. He did all the protestations like, "Hey, dude, this isn't right." And then he sued. And once he sued, now the officers have to explain their reasonable suspicion. And they had shit. They had jack shit with a side of nothing burger. So that kid got paid. That's the way it's supposed to be done. I mean, that is exactly the way it's supposed to be done. You think that cop's going to pull that shit again? I don't think he is. I mean, he may, but I'm assuming that if you're smart enough to become a cop, then you're smart enough to not make a expensive mistake twice. So yeah, I don't necessarily think that you really want to start challenging officers on whether or not they have a reasonable suspicion for the ID. Now, in states without the stop and ID deal, there are some that are a little bit different, like Texas. Everybody's familiar with Texas. You have to be lawfully arrested before you ID. Again, I don't necessarily think it's worth fighting over. This arrest wasn't lawful, I'm not going to ID. I mean, maybe, but in my opinion, as soon as they put the cuffs on you, you might as well ID. There's no reason to tack on charges unnecessarily. They are going to ID you sooner or later anyway. And then finally, there are states where, like California, where there are no statutes on it. And if there are no statutes on it, then generally speaking, you don't have to ID until you get booked. Once you do get booked, if you don't ID, there will be some way, some mechanism that the state has to make you ID or to tack on charges for not IDing, like obstruction or delaying or something. They're going to have something in there to prevent people from just refusing to ID even after they're booked in jail. There's no point in resisting. Just give them your name, ask to call your attorney, or ask for an attorney to be appointed or something. But, start using the system to fight back. So that's reasonable suspicion, or not reasonable suspicion. That's stop and ID in a nutshell. Always check your state laws before you do try to do something about it. Like if you're planning on going out there and not IDing, make sure you understand your state laws. I think paying an attorney to actually do a little bit of research, or going to your local law library to do a little research to see case law on it, to see how the statute has been interpreted by the courts, would be worth your time and or money, because courts can interpret things different than what it appears on paper. So yeah, well, good luck out there if you do choose to do it. I don't recommend it. If you're in a state where you have to ID on reasonable suspicion, my advice to you is ID, protest, but ID and then bring a lawsuit later. If you're in a state that you have to ID on arrest, if you're arrested, my advice to you is to ID. And then if the arrest was unlawful, or you find an attorney who thinks he can make money for you, then go for it. And in general, I don't think it's really worth anybody's time and effort to push it all the way till you get to the booking counter at your local jail intake. You might as well ID on the way there. I mean, if all they were looking for was like, oh, we thought you might have warrant out on you. You match the description of this guy who we're looking for. So all we wanted was your ID because you look like this guy. That's why. Oh, so you're not that guy. Well, you've ID'd. We're gonna let you go, and then you can still sue. So, saves everybody time and effort, and you can still get paid. Allergies, love them. Now for drama. My appeal was rejected. The appeal process seems to be pretty retarded in YouTube. It was you get one sentence that you can appeal with, and it wasn't a particularly long sentence. So my appeal was that they were public records, and they didn't give up any identification that was not known or anything like that. So yeah, whatever. What are you gonna do? So I got a strike. People are worried that you're gonna lose your channel. I hate to break this to you people, but I don't monetize my channel. I don't really care. My message is getting out, and I have enough people on my Discord that if I start a new channel, I'm sure I'll get enough subs and enough people who want to know and need to know that the information that I have will get out there. I do have some more open records coming. I may just have to put them up in a channel update with a link to my BitChute. Of course, I'll drop the links in Discord too, so everybody can go to the Discord, or to the BitChute and watch them from Discord. And I will also, again, when I get these open records, we'll post them in, we'll post the documents themselves in my Discord. Leon Valley wasn't very fruitful as far as the other records requests I had made. They just didn't have anything on it, which is sad, but I have learned a new trick. And thank you, Teresa. Open records are amazing. So I have open records requests out in Travis County and Bear County. And we're going to see what they turn up. Because somebody's claiming to have left law enforcement honorably, and birdies are singing and telling me that that's bullshit. And when birdies sing, my birdies seem to be pretty good at predicting the future. So also there's a video coming out. I've had a chance to preview it, and it's not mine, but when it does come out, I will direct people to it from my channel, because I think it's worth it. It's nothing people don't already know, but it's something that people might want to watch. Somebody's going through a lot of effort to make sure that the truth comes out. And, surprisingly enough, you'd think that that's something that this community would really be all about, is the truth. That's what I'm all about. That's one of the reasons why I'm about free speech. If everybody has a chance to speak freely, then you don't get these weird, whacked out narratives. But hey, I guess I'm just the bad guy. So there's a interview coming out with a police chief. No, not Salvaggio. But it'll be pretty interesting. And like I said, I will link to it. I will direct people to it. You will not miss it. If you follow my channel, you will not miss this video coming out. Again, it's not earth-shattering, but it's interesting. So I'm going to what do you call that? Farmer? I think we call it farmer out in California. It's where you pinch off one nostril and blow real hard, and then you pinch the other one off and blow real hard, and then you pinch the string of snot between your fingers and flick it onto the grass. I'm going to do that because I am a polite and genteel man who never grew up rough. But I've got snot just dripping. So thanks for watching. I'm leaving you with that lovely, lovely image. Have a great day.